What's up, everybody? Selvin here with another episode of the Black Student Success Podcast, brought to you by Inquire Higher, where we promote and support the success of Black students and professionals through multimedia.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Black Student Success Podcast, brought to you by Inquire Higher. Today, I have a very special guest joining me today, Justin Hawkins. I will let him go ahead and introduce himself because he is just an outstanding person, and I wouldn't be able to do him justice. So without further ado, welcome, Justin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me in. Thank you for the introduction. I received that on this sunny Sunday day. So my name is Justin, like you said, and I will consider myself a jack of all trades. So professionally, I'm a director leadership coach. I'm also a master facilitator as well. I am also a brother. I am a son. I am a friend. I am a ELA specialist. I'm a youth advocate. Just so many things, and I've had such a fantastic opportunity to just try a lot of different things and just gain so many skills throughout my life. So I'm so many things and more. Yeah.
That's amazing. See, this is exactly why I wanted you to introduce yourself. You do it all. When do you have time to sleep is always my question for those of you who are just go, go, go. But we definitely appreciate all the efforts that you're putting in and all the work that you're doing. So that's just amazing. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing and your family dynamic. What did that look like? Paint us a picture.
Absolutely. So I am from the South Side of Chicago, specifically from South Shore. It is the jewel of the East is what I like to call it. If you know, you know. If you don't, I am one of 6 boys. So I am the second to the youngest, and I grew up in a house of a single mom. And really interesting enough, I've been in Catholic school literally all of my life, from K all the way to college. And so my life was basically just home, school, after school programs, and then home again. And growing up in a house full of boys, it was just like lots of activity, lots of stuff going on, lots of like Baroque things, lots of random fights, but then making back up, and then more random fights and making back up. And one really cool thing is we were just like a big group. We really stuck together. We always hung out with each other. Unfortunately, like being in a house with so many kids, people didn't always understand why my mom had so many children. And so it was always like, oh, Justin could come over. Oh, but Gabriel can't. And my mom was like, no, you can't just have one boy come over and not the other ones. So we always just stuck together. It was always just the 5 of us. And then other than that, I would describe the rest of my time as like summertime shy. Beaches, swimming in the lake, walking around the blocks, flaming hot with cheese and meat, and those great things. Summer camps, after school programs. That really is like the life on the South Side and then South Shore.
It really is. I mean, I grew up on the North Side, so let me put that disclaimer out there. But I mean, we had hot Cheetos as well. We were walking, that's a thing. It's a thing.
It's a Chicago thing.
It's a Chicago thing. You cannot miss Chicago summers. Like it's a whole vibe that you have to experience. So if you have it, make sure you put that on your list, your travel list for sure.
You have to.
All right, perfect. So tell me a little bit about, any obstacles that you had to overcome during your schooling. You talked a little bit about, coming from a single mom. That's shout out to the single moms. I did as well. It's a lot of work, right? So, and I definitely agree. Like you can't just have one sibling come, at least 2, at least 2 have to, join because it's a lot easier on the parent, right? But yeah, tell me about any other obstacles that you've had to overcome and what those look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one that I think about a lot is being a smart kid going to Catholic school wasn't always looked at as like a really great thing, right? Like people would always kind of single out the smart kids. I don't know why, but I would always have to travel on the bus or on the train from like where I lived to these Catholic schools. And, we had our ties, we had our button-up shirts and our shirts tucked in, and like people would like prey on that. And so I just remember experiences having to like really navigate the train and the bus to make sure that like no one would mess with me on my way there and on my way back. My brother, he actually would like change his shirts when he left school so people wouldn't know that he went to a Catholic school. Yeah, it was really interesting. And then I think also being one of the only gay brothers in my family, that also just came with like lots of differences. I always felt like I was just different from everybody else. They were more sportsy. They would say like, yeah, Justin, you were like dancing and doing the cheers on the sideline. Like, we need to put you on the cheer team instead of like on the basketball team or on the football team. I eventually joined those sports later, but I was always that really happy, that really smiley kid that was just so different than having to be, you know, tough and really like masculine, like they wanted you to be. And then the last thing is just my mom worked. She had to support 6 boys, so she worked a lot. A ton. So I often saw my mom right in the morning when she drops us off at school. And then at like 6 o'clock, as she came home, she cooked. And then she was just really exhausted. So there was obviously times when we just wanted more time with our mom. We wanted her to come and do all of the things. But like, if she didn't work, then we couldn't have the things that we had. So it was a lot of time at home with the brothers, whenever she was born, time at home with the brothers and the mom. Because, you know, boys will get into things. And my house was always something going on.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
I mean, the youngest, like, you can't be the one to stop things. You can't be the one to say no. Like, you have
but were you one of like the instigators then? Like, what were you doing exactly? I feel like the younger ones are the troublemakers or the starters or the instigators. You have a role, right? Did you fit one of those?
Believe it or not, I was like the goody two shoes. I was really the goody two shoes.
I believe that. Yes. I believe that.
Yes, I was the one who was like, no, we can't do that. Mom said, don't have anyone over. Well, I'm going to tell mom what happened. And they just be like, you better not say nothing.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Okay. Well, no, I definitely believe that. And I can definitely relate to a lot of things that you said. I remember so vividly our commutes, right? I feel like us, as you said, being Black, going to Catholic schools, sticking together during our commutes as much as possible before we had to like part ways, right? I feel like that's something that I think helped as far as like support and making sure you actually got home okay. You actually got home okay. You weren't teased too much, things like that. So definitely get it. And I also like that you understood at an early age that, you know, your mom was busy, but there was a reason for her being busy and you didn't like take it to heart or anything like that, or turn out to be a horrible person. So Absolutely. I admire that about you. Yeah.
Thank you. So thankful. So thankful. Because how could you support? When I think about it now, 6 boys going to Catholic school all their lives, are just like, how does that happen on a single mom's salary? But mom made it work. So, and I'm so thankful that I got the opportunities. That is like, I appreciate you.
Oh, that's so sweet. Hey, shout out to Justin's mom. Yes, that is awesome. Did a phenomenal job. All right. So let's get into a little bit about what you're doing now. And I guess what skills are, I guess, good for the field that you're in.
Absolutely. So right now, my title is a director leadership coach. And so as a leadership coach with Teach for America, I support 25 teachers in their journeys in the classroom. So most of them are first and second year teachers, and some of them are veteran teachers who joined the network in order to just have more resources or more coaching. And so I work with them on their instructional practices, with their DEI strategies, diversity, equity, inclusion, and what it means to be an anti-racist teacher leader. So I'm there in their classroom observing. Then after we're doing debriefs, we're partnering together. We're thinking about some solutions to some of their complex issues. And then we're also planning big PD sessions where we bring all the teachers together to talk about anti-racist leadership and what does it mean to be a culturally relevant teacher and really like meeting your students where they are. And then in addition to that, it's just like helping them to shine as leaders. So I'm often looking for ways to like amplify them, to put them on platforms or different stages so they can really speak about all of the great things that they're doing. It's like that. I'm like that person in the background who's like kind of pushing them to be the best that they could be. And some of the skills that you really need is like, you have to be a leader. To be a leadership coach, you must exemplify what it means to be a leader. Secondly, you got to be a good listener. This job is all about listening to what people need, even though they may not say explicitly, I need this, but they may show you, they may be saying other things that you have to piece together to really figure out like what you can do to really meet them where they are. You also need to be a good speaker as well. There's often times where you're leading different things, PD sessions, different debriefs, and you have to talk. So being comfortable with like speaking in front of groups and people is also really great. And then I think you just need to be a self-motivator as well. Part of my job is I don't have anyone like on my shoulder being like, oh, Justin, did you do this? Make sure you do this. Like everything I do, I have to create. I have to have my motivation and set my own schedule every week to get up and do the things. Because when I meet with my manager, they literally are just like, tell me what you need help with. And they assume that I do all of the things that I'm supposed to do. So that self-motivation piece is like super, super key, or the things just won't get done.
That's amazing. Okay. So I love that you are motivating a ton of teachers, right? That takes a lot of, I love how you said you have to be a good leader. I'm like, it's in the title. I would really hope someone would understand that, right? But then being the right kind of leader, right? Listening, that's something that's huge that I think a lot of people leaders miss. Just being quiet, just taking it all in. And maybe you're not going to pick up on the first time or the second time that you're having a conversation, but down the line, being able to see how that person thinks and what they really need, and being able to pull in their strengths and really play off of that. So I love that you said that. So, as you're almost opening doors for other people in this way, I'd like to know, who opened doors for you along your journey?
That's a good question. I always tell, whenever I talk about like education and the importance of like teachers and mentors and after school coaches and everyone in a young person's life, is like, it takes a village to really raise a child. And so when I think about my village, I definitely think about some of my elementary school teachers. I always reflect on the fact that like, although I may show up as an adult and it's very like positive and doing all the right things, like I was a kid with like a lot of mouth. And so I always had these little smart, little snippy, little comebacks and everything. And I had teachers who were able to look past that and be like, that's still a really good kid. Like they made a mistake. He's okay. We're still going to work with him. So I think about like Miss G from St. Gelasius, who was very instrumental in that. And just the whole St. Gelasius, my elementary school community, every teacher in that building was like family. And when I talked to my mom about just her life as a single mother, she says that was the school out of every other place that we've ever been that really helped her. They really, really were there for her in so many ways. I also think about high school. I think about Ignatius. I think about Miss Hooper from Ignatius, who was one of the, she's great.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. She needs her own segment at some point. She's been, I hear her name come up often with Ignatius guests. So yes, absolutely.
A funny story about her is I actually had her son at a camp that I worked at as well. So a little Biko.
Look at that.
6-year-old was one of my little students at the camp. And then I also think about Miss Delaney, who was an English teacher at Ignatius as well, and Miss Wagenschutz. And they really just showed me about like being excited about ELA and being excited about talking about literature and like your opinion and really loving that and loving on yourself. And then in college, I think about Miss Professor McQuaid, who I emulate as I was an educator. She did a great thing about like just changing her voice when she read and when she talked about literature. It just made you like, just sit back and be like, please read to me for the whole entire class. So as an educator myself, I would always do something similar. It's like, how can I really change my voice or change my inflection to really make this sound a lot more interesting? And then the last person I have to credit is, his name is Josh Kramer. He was the camp director at the camp that I worked at for about a decade. And he was the first person who gave me the opportunity to be a leader at that camp. I had worked there for about 7 years, and they kept telling me like, oh, no, you're not ready. It's not you. And they kept passing me up. And then when he got there, he saw all the stuff that I was doing. And at 22, he was like, I want to give you this opportunity. I know that you can do it. And he really like helped me to really show my leadership and just show exactly what I could do. And he really, really believed in me. And I think that was the one thing that really helped me realize that I could be a leader and that I could be a leader, I could manage and I could do the things that I believe that I really could do. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Sometimes it just takes that one person or a few people along your journey to just, be able to really understand who you are, where you're coming from, and see you for you and the value that you can bring that just switches your life, right? So that's awesome. I love all of that.
Thank you. That's that piece, seeing you for who you are.
Yes.
It's like the piece. And that's the thing I also try to emulate. It's just like, all this stuff is going to happen. Life is going to life. But like, who is that person? What's their core? Who are they really inside? And how can you like stay attuned to that and really help develop that?
Awesome. That is amazing. Well, and then look at the wonderful person that you've become. So I know that you're doing so much across the board. One of the questions that we ask all of our guests is how you are paying it forward. Is there anything else you want to add to your long list of things that you're doing?
Another thing that is really important that I do as well is as a facilitator for this company called Conscious Roots. And so it's a DEI and anti-racist focused organization. And we partner up with different orgs across the country, and we help them to be anti-racist organizations. And it's just a great opportunity to really meet people who are like interested in what does it mean to like know your identity and really like work on yourself, and then to like spend some time giving them the tools, and then them come out of that session being like, wow, this is something I was always scared of, but like the way y'all did it made me really excited to go further. Or I want to talk about this more, or we want to work together as a team in order to build the conditions where everybody can really feel welcome. So it's like those pieces really give me a lot of joy. And I've seen such success after our sessions and our work with the different works.
I love that. So, okay, so on top of when do you sleep? Now this is a serious question. When do you sleep? That's amazing. Yeah, sometimes it's just like comfortability, right? And just understanding. But as you mentioned before, you're such a great listener that you can actually pick up on different things and actually hear people out. And sometimes it's you have to remember it's someone else's opinion, right? In the beginning, and I mean, we can be here forever. That's a whole different episode. I'd love to invite you back for another episode, actually, we'll talk later. Anyway, we always like to wrap up our interviews with a fun question. And this is one that I actually like the most because we can all really relate to this question. The question that I want to ask you, Justin, is to name one embarrassing thing that happened to you in school.
I was like, I saw the question. I was like, let's just go for it, right? One thing I remember, so my K through 8 school, St. Gelasius, it closed when we were in the 6th grade. So I had to go to a new school for 7th and 8th grade. And we actually ended up going to St. Philip Neri, which is like in South Shore as well. And I was a new student there. It was like my 7th grade year. And my dad had one day decided that he wanted to come over and spend some time. And in spending some time, he wanted to give me a haircut. And I'm just like, I don't know, like, you never gonna cut my hair. And this man gave me like the worst bald fade ever. It was just bald. And I remember going into school the next day, and I don't want to say what they said when I took off my hood, but I took off my hood and they was just like, oh my God, what happened to you? It's like everyone just stopped and started laughing. And it was the most embarrassing thing ever. And there's a part two. So then, eighth grade rolls around, or it may have been in the seventh grade, and my dad decides to come over again and spend some time. And he's like, oh, cutting your hair that one time, that wasn't good enough. Let's do it again. And so this time, he gives me a straight up Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, high top fade. And we are like, what is going on? And so I also had to go to school the next day. But this time I was like, I'm not taking off my hood. I don't care what no one say. So I sat in school for like the next few days with my hood on, refused to take it off, would not let them let me take it off. And I remember people like, Justin, take your hood off. And I'm just like, no, I don't care what you do to me. I'm not taking the hood off until this top fade grows out. And so after that moment, I never let him cut my hair again.
My question was, why did you let him cut it the second time?
No, I don't know. Sometimes dad might be they just be forceful about stuff. Oh, I got you. I got you. Like it's coming good.
So he didn't give you a choice.
No.
Oh my gosh. Man. Oh man. That's a good one. That's that. I think that might be the funniest one. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm happy you're able to keep your hood on the second time. Oh, man.
And so I was an educator, right? And I had a similar thing like this happen to one of my students. He came in with his hood on. We're like, no, take it off. You can't have it on. And I sent him out. We called the behavior person. He's like refusing to take this hood off. And then he takes it off, bald fade. And I just look at him and I just go, okay, it's okay. Put it on. Go back in. Don't take it off. You can wear it as long as you want.
Oh my goodness.
The relief on his shoulders was just everything. So.
Well, that's good that you could relate. You're like, oh gosh, deja vu. Hold on, put the hood back on, take some days off, Oh man.
Paying it forward, right?
Right, there you go. Paying it forward. That's so funny. Oh man, you are a hoot. That was amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. All right. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. You have to come back in some capacity because you are great and you're just so knowledgeable. And I would love to just work with you some more in the future and see what we could do for our youth here. So everyone help me. And thanking Justin so much for being on the show. If you would like to connect with Justin, feel free to head over to our website. And if you have any follow-up questions for him, definitely drop them in the comments there. All right. Until next time. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a great time, just to laugh, just to share, and just to connect. So great. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm excited to come back. Please have me back.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Already writing it down. All right. Perfect. I'll talk to you soon. Until next time, everyone. Peace.